Hello folks, this is Jim and I live in Texas, and I'm going to give you my first impressions of riding the Honda ST-1300. I am north of Dallas, about 30 miles north of actually Carrollton, for those of you familiar with this area, where I've rented this really nice Honda ST-1300, by far the largest bike I've ever ridden, in terms of weight anyway. I've ridden it about 30 miles north of Dallas, and I stopped here at Jack in the Box to eat lunch, and I thought I'd give you my first impressions based mainly on a 30-mile interstate ride. This bike is fantastically comfortable on the interstate. You can see it's got a huge windshield that's electrically adjustable, so you can adjust that just right. The seat is fantastically comfortable for a stock seat. Oh man, you could go a long way just on this stock seat. The sound, now some people don't like the ST. One of the hits against the ST-1300 is that it sounds like something that George Jetson would ride. But to me, one of the great things about the ST-1300 is that it sounds like something George Jetson would ride. So whatever position you take on sounding like something from the Jetsons, then you take that into account if you ever get a chance to ride a ST-1300, because it sounds like the Jetsons motorcycle, because it's got a Honda Accord V4 engine. Now it does have a flaw that probably would preclude me from buying one. I'll discuss in a minute. But other really nice things about it: nice instrument panel. The lights are a little dim. It's a little bit harder to see the instrument panel than Ideal Perfection would have. Nice things: lockable storage, so I can put my gloves in there. I didn't have to drag them into Taco Bell. And of course too, there comes standard with these hard bags. They're not quite as big as the gymongous Krauser bags that Busasaurus Rex and Bilma have, but they will hold a full face helmet, because I've got a full face helmet in here. And there's my full face helmet coming out of the locker there. Get that part out. The clutch effort's pretty high on this. I commute 20 miles to work every day each way in stop and go traffic. This would wear you out. No question about it, it would wear you out. Wear my hand out anyway. Seating position is very standard. I think on a really long ride, I might like to have bar risers, but that would be no rush on that. These bars, you can see, they're already set up pretty high. Definitely much less sporty than the Triumph Sprint that I drove last weekend. This is a much more of a standard position motorcycle. The front brake's a little grabby. Nothing you can't live with or figure out, but I noticed that. A couple of times I got crunches going into low. So if this was my bike, I'd take it and have the dealer check the transmission. I think there may be something amiss there, or perhaps the clutch is a little out of adjustment, which might account for the high clutch effort. I'm not sure. Nothing major, nothing I couldn't work around or overcome, but just a little nit. I love the black color. Now, my first impression is that the rumors I've heard about the heat issue on this bike are true. It is a hot bike. It's about 75 degrees. There's a wind blowing. Let me say, while I'm thinking about it, this bike feels wind does not affect this bike, because it's pretty windy. For those of you not familiar with Texas geography, the area north of Dallas is flat as a pancake all the way up to Canada. This road here, Interstate 35, goes basically to Canada, and it's flat the whole way. So right now Oklahoma is sucking pretty bad, and we've got a pretty strong wind from the south. This bike does not feel wind. Wind is irrelevant to this. But the heat issue is relevant, because it's a little warm even on a day like today. You get a lot of heat off that Accord V4 motor into the area of your hips. I've heard the FJR guys call these thigh burners. If it was 108 degrees like it gets here in the summer, I think I'd be real uncomfortable on this. I hate to say it, because other than that, I love the bike. I'm certainly not used to a 650-pound bike in parking lots. I would say that somebody who came to this bike, if you were riding a Ninja 250 for a year or two, or even less than that, if you ride a Ninja 250 for 6 months, you can jump on a speed triple, for example, and you'll be fine. I would not recommend jumping on this bike quite that soon, just because of the weight. I mean, you got to really get used to let the little Ninja teach you, gently. It'll gently remind you if you make mistakes trying to park it, maneuver to low speeds. This one will go right over, I think. Now, I haven't dropped it. I don't plan to. If I did drop it, it's got these tip over wings, which absorb a lot of the damage, and these cost like $10 to replace. So, I'd probably, if you tipped it over, you don't just destroy a $2,000 fairing. So that's my first impressions of it. Now I've gotten north of Dallas. I'm going to try to find some country roads, take it down the country roads. There's no real curves up here, because from here all the way up, at least up through Kansas, they don't put curves in their roads. They're all just rectangular grids. But that's my first impression after a short 30-mile interstate ride on the Honda ST-1300.